Hey, Steven, which folder do you think is the one for you? The one that says Steven or the one that says Bernie?
Probably Steven.
You sure about this? You want to?
If I had to guess, can I phone a friend?
Yeah, sure. Phone a friend. Yeah, I wish you guys were watching. Anyway, welcome to RAWtalk episode number 8. I'm Jared, and you're...
Steven.
He's Steven. Dan doesn't have a microphone, but he may be showing up today to drop something off. He's got to pick up. Actually, we've been using the SanDisk Extreme SSDs, the super duper fast 4 GB ones.
It's like 2,000 megabytes a second write speed.
Oh, they're super fast. Where it's just much easier when we've got EVF clips and a bunch of clips. I can put a folder together, put a bunch of stuff on it in a matter of minutes or less than a couple minutes for Dan, instead of always uploading to Dropbox and then we upload everything to Dropbox anyway, just so that it's archived.
The only pain in the ass part about Dropbox is if you do upload individual files, Dropbox automatically zips them for you when you go to download them. But the way Dropbox is set up, it's only set up for like FAT32 zip files, so nothing bigger than 4 gigabytes actually works. When you go to unzip it on your end, it gives you like an error,
which is
so you
frustrating.
can only download like 10 clips at a time for it to zip. You can't just download the whole folder, and it's a major pain in the ass unless you, as the uploader, upload a giant zip file to begin with, which is a pain in the ass.
Which is a pain in the ass unto itself, because it has to zip, then it has to unzip.
Yep.
It's a pain in the ass, but it's just easy to give him that folder. Sorry, to give him that drive. And the other thing that I've done is, being that SanDisk sent us a bunch of these. They sent us like the data lock or whatever SSDs. Yeah. I've always had trouble backing up with Time Machine using an old spinning hard drive. One of the really inexpensive little...
Does it just take forever? Or?
It would take forever, and then it wouldn't complete. It would never finish the backup as the files got larger and larger. And we're talking like a 2 to 4 gigabyte terabyte external little drive, and then it would never back up. It would just never complete. Now I plugged in the SSD, and in a matter of minutes, it's got the whole thing backed up. Even the first one took like 30 minutes to back everything up, and now I just plug it in every couple days, and it finishes the new backup in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as fast as your internal SSD on the MacBook Pro.
Yeah, so I like using those drives, and you and Dan have started to use those. Sorry, what's the drive that we ordered? The 7.8 gigabyte ones? Sorry, 7.8 terabyte ones?
It's 7.68 terabytes to be exact, and it's their Pro SSD that they recently came out with, 3-4 months ago? I think it was beginning of this year, something like that. Like
$1,600. It was $15.99. I remember I ordered you one right away to test out and use, and you said you saw a major difference when it came to exporting files.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's literally a working drive that's one giant SSD, where before I had spinning drives that would maybe max out at 1,000 megabytes a second read and write speed. But since I have it set up RAID-wise, it's actually much slower than that. You're not really getting the marketed speed that they advertise it as. Now, this one, I can have it just as the working drive setup, so I'm utilizing the maximum speed, and I'm only having a couple projects on it at a time, which basically I'm then dumping onto my giant archive RAID 6 setup Lacy drive.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round.
And SanDisk, didn't they buy Western Digital?
I love how you ignore me. Western Digital bought them.
Western Digital singing. I don't even think about it.
Western Digital bought SanDisk, folded in G-Tech, because I think G-Tech was bought by Western Digital, and then SanDisk was brought into the fold as well.
Here you go. It's the SanDisk Professional 7.68 terabytes G Drive Pro Studio SSD is what it's actually called.
Hashtag affiliate link. We don't have.
And before in the past, we could never really work off an SSD because it would be maybe 2 terabytes at most. And a lot of our projects are close to that, to be honest, especially these days, shooting with the R5 and All-I and the 4K HQ. They're giant files.
They are. So what you guys can't see right now is I'm holding up a fan. It's just because it's 90.
A person? A fan?
No, it's 97 degrees out, and I had to turn the air off because we have to film this, and so I broke out my official Canon RFAN to keep me cool. This is actually the fan we use on the R5 when it's super hot out, or when we need to record long time. When we need to record long time, and then it keeps the air blowing on the back of the camera, which keeps it running fine without overheating.
And the great thing about the fans are there are 3 speeds, so you can have it on the lowest speed, which is basically inaudible.
That's low.
Yeah, I mean, you're blowing it directly into the microphone.
That's medium. Oh, that's high. And that's baby, you're gonna die if it's hot.
But the nice
inside.
part is we can be blowing them on the R5s. Jared's face right now, of course.
I mean, I don't mind blowing R5s. It just keeps it going.
They won't even be picked up in the audio.
Nope.
Because they're so quiet.
Speaking of,
obviously, we wish the R5 just didn't overheat at all, but if you run for more than 45, 50 minutes, you're probably getting overheating.
Speaking of overheating, we'd like you to overheat our text line at 313-710-9729. Some people have given feedback. I know we get like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 downloads and listens of this bad boy in the first couple weeks. So text us to let us know that you're listening. 313-710-9729. Put in there hashtag what episode it is that you're listening to. This one is 8. I need to give Steven, should I give you access to this so that you can look, or you don't even want access to these things?
No, I would like access.
I could give you access to the community.
Yeah.
No, but what if you accidentally sext the entire list?
Can you send dick pics?
I don't know if you can actually send. You know what? That's a test. We should get a banana, take a picture of a banana, and see if it works. Because I know it will censor certain images. You know, Silicon Valley was way ahead of its time. You know, basically the guy was creating the show Silicon Valley. We actually have a shirt that didn't sell very well because I guess most people didn't understand that the show
Pied Piper.
Yeah,
you have a jacket. You have the jacket.
I do have Jared's jacket, and when it gets cold out, I start to wear Jared's jacket again. It's the greatest jacket ever. But there was an episode where Ganesh's cousin or something created an app that could identify the food that you were eating, and it was some app, right? You could take a picture or hold your camera over it and we'll tell you what it was. And so what ended up happening, he's like, this is the dumbest idea. This is not going to go anywhere. Well, what ends up happening is it gets acquired for like $40 million because they realized that it could recognize a banana, which means if it could recognize a banana, they could teach it to recognize a dick, which would then cut down on dick pics being sent. Thus why they got paid $40 million.
Genius.
What a show.
Absolute genius, that show.
That show is great. I should probably start over again, even though I never do, because you watch shows over and over. I don't.
What's the mean jerk, Jared?
The mean of this? Yeah. Well, see, if you could do this, you could get 4 at the same time instead of just 2.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, we are coming to an end of the Bernie documentary. Finally, coming to an end. I finally got to watch a cut of it, and it's almost there. There's some minor tweaks, nothing major. Cinematically, it looks fantastic. Steven did a really good job shooting and editing with a Z6.
Well, pretending that there was more than one shooter, that was the hard part.
Steven, there were 7 shooters. Don't tell them anything other than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the biggest takeaways that I got from it was how we are capable of just Steven and I, you know, mostly Steven, but me doing me stuff to make something out of nothing that looks like it's much more professional than someone who dropped about $50,000 to $100,000 to produce the same thing. I am always fascinated by the fact that shows cost so much money to produce and what we're able to do on our end. Even when we did the Frono's Photo Show thing out at the Grand Canyon, even something like that cost under 10 grand for us to produce with travel.
And that was tough because it was what, 2 shooters, me,
you and Jaffe,
Matt,
using C300s.
C300s, and
which
then
you never used before.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever used them. And on top of that, I had to do audio at the same time.
No, Todd was there.
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything. I can't wait though for. Remember Todd? Every time we would do one of those shows, at the end he would put like executive producer Todd Wolf, director Todd Wolf. It would always be Todd Wolf. I'm gonna do the same thing with Bernie. It's gonna be like director, producer, editor, cinematographer, all
audio engineer,
million things of just Steven,
colorist, audio engineer, colorist.
Literally, yeah. I can go nuts.
B-roll supervisor, grip.
It's all for my IMDb page, bro.
Yeah. 1 credit. Well, there's more. Frono's Photo. Enlist every video, 3,000 videos. I should list all of that. Yeah, star.
You're on IMDb.
I am?
Because Todd, I think, put you on there under some of the stuff he did.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a star.
We need to talk. I think you're on-set photographer.
About what?
That's what you're credited as.
Wait, we need to talk about what? What do we need to talk about, Steven?
Oh, my God.
Steven is played by the best character, Jonathan Fernandez.
Yes.
The resemblance is very close. If you look up Jonathan Fernandez.
Yes.
Jonathan Fernandez, and then look at a picture of Steven. That is who Steven's character is based off of.
Spot on.
Sorry, Steven, the character that he plays is based off of Steven. I think Todd did a good job. Inspired by. I think he did a good job casting. I could see the likeness. It's very similar. And you know, it's funny.
Just look him up.
There's no Todd Wolfe in the movie. I don't know what character he would have been. Anyway, the Bernie documentary is really, really solid. We've got to film some plugs for it, and basically I'm going to plug my own book in
makes
it.
Sense.
Just because there are points for it that will give you a quick respite. Like, hey, I created this book. If you're enjoying this documentary and you like the photos, there's 101 photos in this book, and it's a real coffee table photo book that's big and heavy, and you can order it right now at BerniePhotobook.com, as well as get the audio commentary for free. That's up there for anybody to listen to, and you could go through the PDF of the book too.
The audio commentary is actually really interesting. It's 3 hours of you breaking down every single photo, but the detail you go through.
We actually recorded it in one sitting without stopping.
Yeah, right. I think I had 9 hours of audio for that, cut down to 3 hours, because we did basically every picture twice.
So that's coming soon. Do you know what was interesting?
Before you move on, I just want to say, you know, it's unfortunate because we're going to put this out and it's going to get like 20,000 views, and it's been 2.5 years in the making. You know, obviously we didn't work on it every single day. It was here and there. We would touch it and try and finish it. And, but yeah, that's the unfortunate part. You can't really clickbait something like this. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And I hope people watch it. I think it's really interesting, and, you know, following you around as a photographer on the campaign trail. Well, it is not a Bernie Sanders pro, you know, documentary. I
mean, I can't call it behind the scenes with Jared Polin, you know, behind the scenes with Frono's Photo on the road with Bernie Sanders. I mean, like, it's
well,
just,
Texas, what would you guys call it? What would you want to click on?
313-710-9729. The thing is, we know that once people click on the video, they're going to watch it. They're going to watch the whole thing because it's that good. Very similar to the baseball critique that I put up yesterday when we're recording this, where Brad Mangan is critiquing my images, and it's an hour and a half long. Everybody that's watched it, that's left a comment or messaged us on the hotline, the text line, has been like, that was the best video you've ever done. I learned so much from this. I don't even own a camera, but I was practicing in my mind. Like all of this stuff. It was, I knew it would be good, right? It's just a matter of how do we get people to watch it, and that's
exactly.
We can't clickbait that. We tried to do something similar to what I did when Mike Kelly critiqued my work during the pandemic, but I said, like, professional photographer rips my photos to shreds. But we know that when people watch it, they're going to gain a lot of value from it and learn.
I'll say the same thing to the audience that I tell you. It's very hard to get someone to watch a near feature length film 90-minute video right then and there, and I think that really screws with the algorithm as well, because YouTube does not cater to long-form content. So you're not going to get that many views right off the bat just because not many people can stop what they're doing right then and there and watch a 90-minute video. Even at 2x, you're still looking at 45 minutes.
Exactly. It's still a pretty long video,
but it is worth the watch. It's really interesting.
Definitely. Definitely. Do you know what's interesting this week? When I got that comment, I don't think we talked about this last week, where someone was like, Jared would put Skittles on the Mona Lisa if he could. And I was like, hold that thought. And I got the picture of Mona Lisa, and then I went ahead and recorded my screen, putting Skittles on it on the mobile device, because you can do Lightroom Mobile with Skittles. And then I posted it, and I said, done and done.
You would.
And then I did it.
But the funny thing is, like, it brought out like the texture of the painting.
Skittles, bro, it just works.
I mean, it didn't look good. Don't get me wrong.
No, I was just fucking with people because, you know, when people can't handle it, you just triple and double and triple and quadruple down on certain things, because it just let those people be continually upset about it. Yep. I shot a Union game this weekend, and I shot with the R7, and this time I shot with the EVF recorder. Just like I already did a baseball game, a Phillies game with it before the All-Star break, and just with the recorder so that we can show it. And I did that with the soccer game. It's not ideally how I would like to shoot, but I still went out there and did it. It was going to be a rainy game, but luckily it only drizzled a little bit. And then it was good, right? So I'm questioning some of the focus. Now, the autofocus works really well.
This is R10 or R7?
R7. I left the R10, and I actually didn't end up using the R10 because I wanted to focus on getting one of the things done and do it right. And what I've noticed is there's images that you're like, yes, absolutely tack sharp. Yeah. And then there's others where it's that hesitation thing that I've done with a bunch of other cameras where I'm like, it just seems to be slightly out, like slightly off, but is it or isn't it? Is it because it's 32 megapixels and I'm zooming in on the 32 megapixels, right? 1 to 1.
Are you zooming in 1 to 1 or
1 to 1?
800%?
No, it's 1 to 1. I know better than to do that, but it's just crazy because 32 megapixels is more than 24 megapixels of the R3. And so am I just nitpicking, and would anybody notice it even if you ever printed? And so that's another thing to keep in mind.
Keep in mind too, the R3 has a BSI sensor, so they say it actually acts more like a 30-ish megapixel sensor versus a 24. Like you're gonna end up getting sharper looking detailed images than say something like the 5D Mark IV with a 30 megapixel sensor.
Yeah,
or the USR.
Don't understand what they mean by that, and I never will.
Just with it being backside illuminated, you're gonna basically get more detail.
Well, just maybe it's cleaner, but I don't understand how it acts as a more whatever. So we're gonna have a video coming out about that. Dan's gonna move to editing that tomorrow, and maybe
so this is gonna be a video essentially of you just running through the EVF clips, showing the focus work and not working.
I'm not actually running through it's just showing the clips, letting people decide, and then there will be a slideshow at the end. So there will be an intro. There will be me talking about what's happening. I'll explain that there's going to be a slideshow at the end. Right here, I want to show you the focus working. There's good, there's bad, there's indifferent, but you can see it working. And then I do I come back and say, hey, all right, what'd you think? Slideshow coming up, my thoughts, and then done.
Well, and what I like about those videos is it's real and raw. I mean, you're just basically picking out the best, worst clips and best clips and putting them in a single video and letting the audience make up their mind.
Yeah, totally.
You're not just catering to, here's only the good clips and this focus is amazing. You're at least saying, yes, there's going to be issues here and there. It's not going to be perfect.
That is correct, Stephen. We'll see what happens.
I mean, what I hate is when you see certain channels bring up issues or bring up, saying that this is the best camera ever and they only show you the good stuff. And that there were definitely issues with the camera or things they did not want to show you.
When we film the review, it's like it's Steven shooting B-roll of me all day using the damn thing before we then come home, look at everything, and then start talking about the preview of our thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to try and figure out right then and there. I mean, you don't even know if the photos came out. You can't be like, oh, this camera's amazing because you're not even looking at the photos on a computer yet.
No.
Plus, we usually can't even open the RAW files.
Yep, that is correct.
So that's mainly why we call these previews preview.
Exactly.
Not a review.
Not a review. Just lowercase p, capital R-E-V-I-E-W. Just our way of being like, it's really a review, but we're not going to call it a review.
Basically, I mean, it's a silent P, right?
Yeah, a review. So at the Union game, I usually get recognized quite a bit. There's people that recognize me.
Wonder why. Wearing a purple shirt and a giant afro and guns with a crazy tan line.
Yeah, best ever. This one kid comes up to me and he's like, my dad learned everything from you, and then in turn he taught me everything, and so
that's cool.
We're big fans. And so he was sitting down there shooting near the area where I was, and I look over to see what he's shooting with because I thought it was like a 1DX version, but it actually was an R3 because I could hear the shutter sound of it, which is
Wait, this is a kid, like a teenager?
He's a teenager. I mean, I'm sure
with
he's
an R3, really.
But it may be his dad's. I don't know. I don't question this stuff anymore. I didn't be like, hey kid, how'd you get an R3? How'd you do it, bro?
Spoiled little brat.
Spoiled. No, I don't ask those questions.
Yeah.
It's none of my business or concern.
How do you think he got a pass?
I try
was he shooting for?
I don't know who he was shooting for, but I try. I say this now because we're going to be talking about a book later. I try to worry about the things that I can control, and not worry about the things that I can't. Like, I mean, not saying that I can't control the kid having an R3, but it's none of my. Who gives a fuck why he has one? So be it. I don't try to dig into people's like, oh, he must be a rich kid or they must be poor. Like I don't I got to stop that like altogether.
Oh yeah, I got you.
And
it's just you just don't see that every day.
No, you don't.
Younger kid with a R3.
But I looked at it. I looked over, and he was using the R3, and then I'm like, well, there's the 400 sitting next to me. I wanted to use it, but then I was like, but maybe he'd like to use it instead. And so I said, hey, you want to try the 400 on there? And he's like, are you serious? And I was like, no. Gotcha.
Kid starts crying, runs home.
Take that.
Runs home to his rich father.
Take that, kid. No, but I was like, here, R3. And so I helped him put it on. And then he was using it. And then his friend, another person that was there, got some pictures of him using it. I saw, because I'm in one of them. He posted on Twitter.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and I always do stuff like that. I'm a big fan of, back when I was shooting, say, Nikon in the pit at a concert, and it was the opening act, and I knew I wasn't going to shoot the opening act, and I'd see someone in there with a Nikon D3000 or a D5200 or 5000 or whatever. I'd be like, hey, you want to try out the 24-70 for a couple songs? And they're like, really? Like, yeah.
And are you talking about back then when it was actually your glass too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would let a couple people use the, I would every once in a while be like, hey, you want to check this out? You want to try this? Hey, little kid, you want some candy? Okay, you want to touch my lens?
I got the lenses in the van. You want to come follow me real quick?
You want to come outside? Giggity, giggity. Giggity, giggity.
Quagmire.
But no, I've done that in the past, and I like that because it's like, this is real glass. I'm not trying to be like, your glass sucks, but it really does. But it's just it's just really giving someone the opportunity to use a piece of glass that they may never have used before, or in this case, a $14,000 400-2.8. It's cool. It's something they'll remember, and it's just cool. It's like, I'm me, right? Other people may see me as like a celebrity from the YouTubes, and I'm not. I mean, how many people actually know me on the streets, right? We should go do something asking people. But I get recognized quite often at events where people are going to recognize me because they have cameras. Or like when I'm walking through Disney, people were coming up to me nonstop being like, Fro, is that you? And it's like, yeah, it's me. Now leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. But, that's really... People come up all the time, and the good thing is I was actually recording. I forgot. I set the 360 camera, the Insta-1 360, the brand new one, the 1-inch one. I set that up on a monopod, raised up high, so that you could watch the game, watch the crowd, see me and the interactions. And I plugged into the battery charger so that it wouldn't run out of battery this time. And I forgot it was recording, and I looked back after this interaction. I'm like, because my intention wasn't, oh, I'm filming this, let me do something nice.
Content.
It wasn't. It was, I was hoping it, after I looked back.
Is the camera recording as I give him the lens?
Yeah. Are you on? You got this, Steven? You got this? Oh, cut. Fuck you, kid. Give me that lens back. This is just for the gram. But I did. I looked back because I was like, oh, shit, I am recording. That's cool. I could make a video out of it. And so the 360, well, no, really, that's what I was thinking. It's good because it's a good interaction.
You are definitely a big advocate for the kids. I mean, I've seen you countless times help out other kids and give them lenses or bodies, like you're saying, to shoot with for the day. And something like that, I feel like that's going to be a really impactful moment for this kid's life. Like thinking back, like, remember that one day, Jared Polin, the famous YouTuber Jared, and he gave me that 400-2.8?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if someone did that to me, I'd be like, is this a joke? Are you serious? I didn't buy my first pro lens until I was probably mid-20s. I couldn't afford anything past, $500.
Yeah, no. But
so
now
for him to use some,
now you have access. Now you have access to everything.
Yeah. Anyone want to buy a 5D Mark IV again? I'm just going to say it every week.
I think you should just give it away to someone, Steven. You get access to the best of the best.
But I need the money.
You do?
I'm just saying. I mean, I bought that thing for $3,800, I think, when it first came out, or $3,500. I think that's what it was.
You overpaid. Why don't you sell it to your barber?
I sold him my other 3 cameras.
I know.
He's loaded.
You should be like, hey, barber.
Not loaded as in loaded up on cameras.
I got you a new camera. You want it? I mean, it's still a good camera, but it's the mirrorless world. It's the mirrorless world.
It's the mirrorless world, yeah. I mean, I do every once in a while see like a Facebook post or in like the Canon group of someone selling a 5D4, and there's still a lot of people looking for it, but
Yeah, they want to.
I
They
don't know
want
what
like
I'd
a
sell it.
deal.
Like, how could you? I don't know. What's a good price? $1,500.
$1,500, bro. I think
With a
that's
grip?
I think that's pretty inexpensive, but anything you can get out of it. Hey, speaking of selling things, I got a $14,000 tower over here from a Mac Pro tower that's 14 that nobody, I mean, someone was like, I'll give you 2,500. I'm like, I rather
Let's
sit
just
on it.
let's just have a big garage sale at Fro HQ at the Fro factory and just sell
Best
all this
offer.
stuff.
Bring
Yep.
cash.
I got $3 for
Look,
your $14,000 tower.
This is a $14,000 tower. I will take a certain amount of money for it, but it's not going to be zero. And if you're interested, support@fronosphoto.com. Send me an email, support@fronosphoto.com. Don't offer me $2,500. The problem with it, and this is real talk, Steven, is that, oh no, sorry, this is RAWtalk.
RAWtalk.
This is the truth of the matter is it's a great system. It's a powerful system that is now outpowered by something that's 3 years newer in a smaller box
and
less expensive. And so that's the rub. It makes it very difficult for me to sell it. Now, I've made my money off that computer because we've run the business with Dan editing all the photo news fixes, and it's the cost of doing business. But I don't want to sell it for like $2,000 and be like, fuck. But then every time we have a computer here, we've got like 4 laptops sitting around that we don't actually use right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're using your 10-year-old MacBook Pro as a teleprompter when we should be using one of the brand new ones.
Steven, it's more than 10. That's a 2010 computer, 2009 roughly.
That's 13 years old.
That's a 13-inch MacBook Pro with a CD drive. We should probably just
What's a CD drive?
Yeah, we should probably plug in the 15-inch with a USB dongle or connector, because that's how we have to do that flip thing. But yeah, anyway. So
I mean, it's the same thing with the 5D Mark IV. Why buy that? It's still a great camera, still a great tool. It takes fantastic photos when you can just get an R6 for probably close to the same price as a used 5D4.
Yeah, R6 solid. R6 solid.
Yeah, it's a hard sell. And I feel bad almost selling it for a decent price because I'm like, you could buy something.
And that's how I feel about this tower.
Yeah, yeah.
So what should I take? What would be a good price? You think 3,500 is too much, or 3,500 is a pretty reasonable offer?
14 grand you spent on that?
14 grand, yes. But it was a tax write-off.
Oh, it's a write-off.
It's a write-off.
So nothing. It cost you nothing.
Cost me nothing. It was a tax write-off.
I don't know. I would like to say $5,000, but
I can't justify selling that for $5,000 when someone could spend $5,000 on a new computer, and it would be a much better option and much smaller.
And we only used that computer for what, 2 years?
2.5 years. It was
years.
It was like all of the pandemic, actually. It was 2019 into 2020, and then entire pandemic up until a bunch of months ago.
Yeah.
So being that we're talking about obsoleting things, the Nikkei goes ahead and puts out an article that says that Nikon is getting out of DSLRs, and it's been 60 years, and now they're shutting it down. And then Nikon, this is all in Photo News Fix, but Nikon was like, no, guys, we are not exiting the DSLR business as of right now. We still are we still have support, we're still selling, and we still have stock, basically, is what they said. I read the line. They didn't say we're still developing anything, but
they're going to support it. Yeah.
But this is bullshit when Nikkei comes out and says this, and Nikon's like, no, because that actually has the ability to hurt Nikon. Nikon still has DSLRs and DSLR lenses, and they still will be supporting the product, meaning if something goes bad, they will still fix it. And DSLRs are still viable professional cameras. They're still capable of doing tremendous things, and they've always been, and they always will. They just may not.
Buy my 5D Mark IV.
They just might not be the right tool for the job. But I kind of, of course, I defended Nikon on this one. I was like, this is bullshit that they would say something like this, because of course they're going to leave the DSLR world at some point. They're not just getting out of it today, but yes, they're going to do that.
It's going to be a slow transition, but yes, eventually that's the way.
They're not the way. They're not.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Is it the way?
It's the way. They're not developing any more DSLRs, which makes sense because mirrorless cameras are here. We don't need to beat that fucking dead horse. But it was just a stupid article, and that's why. Oh, let me drink water. I want to bring up stupid articles again.
while you're drinking water, I am surprised that we did not see another DSLR during this, entry to the mirrorless world. I would have thought they were still developing. Well, I guess the D6 we did see. That was probably the last DSLR from Nikon, right?
That would be it. Well, the D780 was pretty good too.
Oh, you're right. The D780. Okay. Yeah. So they were probably still developing that when they started doing the Z6 and Z7.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking on B&H right now, and they have they've got the D850 still going for sale. The D7500. I mean, the D850 is going for $27.96.
Yeah, I would just buy that stuff used. But
5D Mark IV, $2,700. $2,000 used if you want one.
Steven, you still trying to sell that camera?
Yep.
I wanted to read a stupid headline. I won't say what Petapixel website it came from, so don't try to guess where it came from. But it was a really, I didn't like it, and I actually put it out on Instagram.
No, you put your opinion out into the world?
I did.
On Instagram?
I did. Well, Petapixel...
That's crazy.
Look, Petapixel has gone to a place where they just keep putting out... if anything even mentions a camera, like this one about Emmanuel the Emu. Everybody has seen this girl who is on Instagram, and she's trying to educate people on the farm, and then the emu comes up and tries to take the camera phone away, and she's like, Emmanuel, don't do it. Don't do it. If you haven't seen it, you may not have seen it, but
I don't think I did see it.
Maybe take a look. It's actually pretty funny. But so basically Petapixel has started to put every little if it mentions photography, it's out there. Now, this one,
even if it's like dumb smartphone videos,
even if it's like a dashboard camera captured the car chase.
It's still a camera at the end of the day, I guess. And
it is, but anyway. They put up something with a title that says, "What is a .photography domain and why do you need one?" ? And you look, and it's like, this is a sponsored post, and comments are off underneath. It's just they turn it off. Steven, do you have a .photography domain name?
Yeah, it's my website. Go check it out.
Yeah, how's your website doing?
It's great. I get a lot of clicks every day.
So I would never buy a .photography domain name.
For those that don't know, the running joke is I do not have a website, and it's
been 10 years.
And it's been like 10 years.
Because I got him a comped website from Squarespace 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. 10 years, man.
I mean, if you've noticed, I'm not the greatest at posting my work. Like my Instagram, I think the last photo was from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it happens.
I'm an avid... Well, it's because my entire day and week is literally spent creating content, and the last thing I want to do is then work on my personal content.
Yeah,
it literally is. I'm like, I don't even want to look at the computer right now.
Yeah.
Or phone or whatever.
Well, speaking of .photography, I would never purchase a .photography domain name. And in fact, I think the same people that bought that sponsored post... See, Petapixel's a business. They're trying to make money, right? Because they can only make so much money off of clicks and advertising from AdSense, because that changes and evolves all the time. So how does a site like Petapixel evolve into making money? They have to do sponsored posts, but sponsored posts are clearly sponsored posts, and people aren't really going to pay attention to them, especially when it uses a title like, "What is it and why do you need it?" It's kind of a little misleading in that front. I'll tell you what Petapixel needs to do to be successful. They need to get with the times and start YouTube channel and make videos, right? Make videos. Build that. They have a site, and honestly, we've seen this before. We use Petapixel a lot for Photo News Fix because they aggregate a lot of the photo news, and we show that on the website. We always show that. We don't hide where we get news from. We do DP review, Nikon rumors.
There's screenshots from these websites. Yeah,
right. We do that, but also the stories don't always originate from Petapixel. So we go back to the main sources, but no, they're a good aggregator of stories. I don't agree with their change of doing like 6 to 10 stories a day versus the 1 to 2 that they used to do, because it used to be like, all right, we would get good photo news that was photo worthy, not Emmanuel the Emu, because Emmanuel the Emu took a bite out of the camera, right? Like, that to me isn't photo news worthy. On the next Photo News Fix, we're going to talk about Emmanuel the Emu.
I was waiting for it.
I was like, hey guys, this is photo news worthy. Emmanuel the Emu No, it is. I mean, it's a funny video. It's funny listening to the woman in it, and it's funny to see the emu. I mean, emus are kind of funny, and she's gonna get what?
Well, I'm with you with in terms of content creation. I do think they need some online personalities, some videos. You know, start getting someone out there and being the host, the face of Petapixel. I know they have their podcast. I think still, right?
Oh, the Sharky James podcast barely ever comes out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was probably a deal that he struck. Was like, hey, I'm gonna do this podcast about news, and will you guys post it? And I think people listened. But the thing is, we don't get a bump when our videos go on Petapixel at all.
Never. Yeah, you would think that you would get an extra couple, at least.
It used to be back in the day. Back in the day, you would, like, if F-Stoppers did it, or even Sony Alpha Rumors, or Canon Rumors, or Nikon Rumors, you would see a bump. Now we don't get a bump. Not that those guys are posting our stuff anymore. And I don't really think Petapixel wants to post. Isn't? No, and Petapixel doesn't want to post our stuff, obviously, either for other reasons that we know. But they could up their game by attempting to make videos. They're trying to make, and this isn't even on our list of shit to talk about, so I just brought this up. Steven knows this because he has the list of shit, and I always go off
that's all good
topic. But I like the website. When Michael Zhang, who's the founder of it, was running it, I don't know if he ran it himself or who he was running it with, but it was just like maybe 2 to 3 stories a day, and they actually were relevant to the photo community, where now it's like you look at the comment section under some and there's 0 comments. So it just seems to be a thing that they're chasing the algorithm of Google, where they want Google to go ahead and be like, oh, they want to come up and search. But I've heard that Google has changed a lot of their search parameters, that if there is duplicate content, written content on multiple sites, they're going to devalue those websites. So if you put up which we stopped doing, if you put up the exact press release that Nikon released, and you took the text and put it up, and DP Review put it up, and Petapixel and F-Stoppers all put up the same thing, it's going to be like, well, this is duplicate content. It's not valuable. We're going to downgrade it in our algorithm. That's what I heard recently. Another news story we could talk about was we talked a lot about the James Webb Telescope last week, and I made a video about it. This week it came out how much it came out of the closet. This week it came out. It's non-binary. The James Webb Telescope is non-binary. It's not a he, it's not a she, it's a they, them. Speaking of non-binary, do you want to, like, I was reading a CNN article. They're like, this discovery might change the history as we know it. And so they dug up or found the skeletal remains of a Viking warrior. And the headline, speaking of headlines, was totally misleading beyond misleading. The headline, if you just read the headline, you would think that this was was a non-binary Viking, meaning they did not say they're man or woman, right? They're non-binary. Well, of course, they weren't talking about being non-binary in Viking times, but what they found is that this might have been a person born with both sexes. You know, they might have had not a hermaphrodite, but they might have had the non-binary because they had a penis and they had a vagina, basically, something along those lines. And so they are trying to say that they identified as non-binary. And I'm like, guys, are you fucking kidding me? Like, talk about taking it a little too far. By now you're putting words in the mouth of a dead Viking, right? So what if they were a warrior and they were a man, or they were a warrior or they were a woman, or they were a warrior and they were they, them? Right? It's just like, talk about pulling at strings. This is why people despise, I don't want to get into politics, but despise super liberal people out there, because they get offended by everything.
You love it.
What, getting offended by everything?
No, those people.
No, I mean, it's like, stop getting offended by everything. You don't have to be such a baby where someone says something and it's sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will absolutely hurt me, right? It's sticks and stones sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Hey, liberal fucks, remember that. The words should never hurt you because they're words. Words. And now people out there on the other side are like, I thought Jared was a liberal shill. Like, I'm liberal, but I'm also for common sense, and words don't hurt me. Thus, why I have a YouTube channel. It doesn't bother me.
That is true.
This is not in my notes either.
We get some nasty comments on there for sure.
We do get nasty comments. And I like sharing them and replying to them. But anyway, back to the James Webb Telescope, which is a they/them. They put out an article. They put out an article about them having how much storage it has on the telescope. It has only 68
terabytes.
68
megabytes.
What did I say? 68 gigabytes?
That's probably, it has to be gigabytes.
Yeah, 68 gigabytes. Yeah, not terabytes. It has 68 gigs of storage, and 3% of that is left for the engineering stuff, like telemetry, and
it's probably just like a 64 gig like SD card popped in there.
But it's not. So,
micro SD.
Yeah, I know. It's solid state storage, and they say because it has to withstand temperatures of like negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit and radiation, that over time, after about 10 years, its capacity will be about 60 gigabytes instead of 68. Now,
I don't even understand that.
Well, because I guess it corrupts certain sectors or something. Now, I would think like, I'm holding, not myself, this is a 325 gigabyte CF Express card in my hand right now. You're like, why couldn't they put this on there, right? Why couldn't they have taken the memory and put that?
I mean, they have the 1 terabyte SD cards as well.
Right, but it's like super small. So who knows if it was a weight thing or they just thought 68 was enough. The thing is, it has 68 gigs of storage, and that will fill up in 24 hours of shooting.
Wow.
Of recording data. The thing is that they have to export that data or offload it every day. And so they built it with the parameters knowing that every 12 hours or every day it's going to beam the data back. No, it's not. Well, yeah, they'll probably
eventually overwrite itself every day.
Or they reformat it. Who knows what they send a signal to reformat.
That's what I mean, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's the cleaner way of doing it. But there are 2 4-hour windows throughout a day where they can offload using a specific transmission band for higher data, which is like 26 MBs, capital M, lowercase b, so it's megabits a second.
No, that's megabit. Yeah.
Right, megabits a second. So they said that equates to roughly, I forget. Shit. Let me get the news out. I thought I could do this off the top of my head, Steven. Let's see. Let me bring up my news. Breaking news.
It's like 4 megabytes a second.
So it says 12.6 gigs per hour. So it can transmit from 1,000,000 miles away 12.6 gigs of data per hour.
Yeah, so that would be 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. Times that by 3.25, and you're looking at about 12,000.
I wish I had that when I was 13 to have that speed. It was very difficult to download porn on AOL when it was a picture. It was like, it would go line by line. You'd be like, oh my God, this girl's hot. Oh my God, this girl's hot. Look at those boobs. Look at those. Oh shit, he's got a dick. Wait, but how do they identify? They've got both. They have both. What are they? Shit, that happened a lot, and I was like, this is actually interesting. Oh, I can't look at this. This is horrible. Don't look at it. They have a penis.
Your channels, what was it? The local channel for me was like 29 or 30 was like the porn channel. It was all fuzzy, and you get the antenna the right way, you kind of can see something going on. Oh, I saw a boob. I saw a boob.
Oh, there it is. Oh my God. Oh, it's good.
Good old black box.
Yeah. So anyway, 68 gigabytes of storage, and so after 10 years, they expect it to be about 60 gigs, which means at some point they may have to cut down on the amount of data that they're recording throughout a day, because it's going to lose, and they expect it to last longer than the 10 years. They expected at first that it would have 10 years up there of operation, and now they say they have enough, based off of what's happening and what their early data is, that they may have enough fuel on board to keep it alive for over 20 years.
I mean, why couldn't they just give it a terabyte of data, though? Are these SSDs giant or something because of the heat shields and all that kind of stuff going on?
I have no idea.
Or insanely expensive? I don't know.
Do you want me to call NASA, Steven?
Can you call NASA? Yes.
All right. Let me get that phone number and see if I can do that. Hold on.
Oh, my God.
NASA JPL. NASA. Contact NASA.
We while he's doing that, we actually did do an interview with one of the astronauts.
Official communications. To contact Goddard's Office of Communications, here's the phone number. I'm gonna call it right now. No, I can't again, because what if that's illegal? I don't know what's legal and what's not legal. I have to tell them I'm recording. I actually emailed NASA one day back in the day, and I was like, hey guys, we had a question come in for RAWtalk. Does the International Space, do they shoot RAW on the International Space Station when they're shooting photos? And they got back to me, they're like, let us check. And they're like, they actually do. With the Nikons, they shoot RAW. I'm like, how do they transmit all that data from space? He's like, we got like 12 downlinks directly from space station. I was like, oh shit. He's like, it's fucking fast. And then we ended up talking to
Randy Bresnik,
whose grandfather was Amelia Earhart's photographer.
Yes.
If you recall that I didn't ask that question. And I failed. We were
Glad
using...
you did your prep work for that interview?
Yeah, I did. We were using... the box that we had at the time before everybody else started doing interviews and streaming like via Zoom. We were using this box.
Now, that was 2017, and it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, we had an issue
live, basically.
We had an issue where it glitched, and we were talking to Houston, and I fucked up by not saying, Houston, we've got a problem. It would have been good.
One job.
So anyway, 68 gigs of storage on that it's pretty fascinating to hear that that's how much storage it has, and then they transmit the data back. And people are like, it's probably shooting JPEG. It's just actually, it's all raw data. It's sending back raw, flat out data, and they are compiling it. So
on the International Space Station, they were always Nikon shooters, right? Nikon would supply the cameras. Are they now shooting with a Z9 or like a D6?
No, they're still. I think they have D5s up there. I don't think they'll ever put a D6 up there. Now they put up.
Why not?
Used to be Hasselblads. Why? I don't know. But remember, those cameras will go bad after a couple of years because of getting bombarded from solar radiation, or from the radiation. They get bombarded by radioactive material.
I just would think they would give them a Z9 at this point.
I mean, do you really want a Nikon? Is it going to be able to focus on Earth? Oh, it's not like it has a big thing to focus on right there. Like, oh, this autofocus sucks. I mean, shit, you're just pointing and shooting. I think anything could focus on Earth at F8.
I was going to say they're probably like F22.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, Earth, there it is. Let me take a, hey, look, guys, every 45 minutes we go around Earth. Let's take a picture of that spot again.
What are you shooting today? Oh, just Earth.
Earth.
You got a different angle today? No, same angle.
Same. We're up above.
Just a giant picture of Earth.
Great shot, guys. Here's my 365 project.
Earth, day 47, Earth, 48, Earth.
All right, I'm going to move over to this discussion of a book that I read because I think it's actually... this leads into the book discussion. I wrote something I wanted to talk about last week, and this was a couple weeks ago, Facing Adversity. I was on my way to I was at the airport getting ready to take off to go to the bowling thing, and we've been working on a project for bowling for 8 months or so. And what ended up happening is I get a text from someone who's like, I think we have a problem. There might be an exclusive deal already with another production company. And so I got upset for a minute. I didn't get that upset because I was by myself. Usually I have no one to show off for. So if I get upset, it's like, oh, God damn it, I got to show off and get upset. But no, I kept my composure. I wasn't happy, and I debated, should I still be going to this? Because like I was going to showcase...
That was the whole reason you were going.
The whole reason I was going was to showcase this trailer, and this was always a potential, right? I didn't ask for permission. I just did it. And the reason I like to just do things instead of asking for permission is because if you ask someone for permission, they're either going to tell you yes or no. But in this case, it wasn't about asking for permission. It was like, I have an idea. Why am I going to come to you to tell you I have an idea? I'm going to create it to show you what I'm capable of doing. And so that's what we did. Created something that I'm not going to go into too much detail about, but you know I've been out on the road with the bowling guys for quite a while, trying to do something interesting. I still went to the event, and I still showed it to the person in charge, even though there was this other thing that was happening. I'm like, if something does come up here, we're the real deal. We already have this created, and this is why, so what I wrote is facing adversity and disappointment. How do I handle it? The way I handle this is I try to never get too high and never get too low. I try to stay as even as possible. I allow myself to celebrate a little bit and I get down a little bit, but you never, if you start to do the extremes, if you get way, way too high, you're bound to really fucking crash hard. If you don't take precautions or think about the alternatives, when those alternatives do happen, you're crushed. And that's a difficult situation to be in.
That's a good point.
That's why you never hear me say things like, big things are coming, or I'm going to share some huge news soon. You never hear that because I want to deliver you that news, one, when it actually happens, and two, if I keep saying stuff like that, like huge news coming, I already have your attention. But what if I lose your attention the next time and I don't have your attention? Then I missed out on an opportunity to share exactly what that information was. Like when FroPack 4 comes out, you'll hear us alluding to FroPack 4 coming out. We'll talk about it, but we'll probably, when we start talking about it, we'll probably be doing tests of them with people who already have bought FroPack 1, 2, and 3, or just people that we know to test out the stuff and say it's
beta testers essentially.
Beta testers. You guys know we're working on it, but I'm not sitting here teasing like it's coming soon. When it's ready, we're going to tell you that it's ready.
Well, nothing to really tease just yet because I've got 2 roughly, not completely finished, but
what do they do?
Currently,
what do they? Let's do a live naming of. Based off of the description that you give me, that what they do.
They're not done yet, though. I can't even tell you it's not done yet. I can't even describe that one just yet because right now it's affecting images in different ways, and I'm trying to figure out how can I, across the board, make it do the same exact thing to each image I apply to.
Non-binary.
And again, guys, all this stuff, we tested out a ton to make sure it really does work.
There's over 1,000 pictures in the can that we use.
There's a lot. And Jared just gave me how many more?
I didn't even count, but I just gave him a bunch of stuff from 2021 and 2022.
Every time we work on a new FroPack, I try to get the most updated pictures. So
R7 pictures,
R10
every single pictures, different cameras, newer cameras, older cameras,
high ISO, low ISO, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're working on that now. That's the next big project to get out into the world.
Yeah. And so what's interesting is I ran into a friend at La Colombe recently, and I was trying to figure out what books I want to read, and because I always finish something and then I want to read something else, and he suggested The Obstacle is the Way, and I know Ryan Holiday, who wrote that. I've spent time at his farm in Austin. Hi, my name is Austin.
This is Austin.
This is Austin. This is Austin. I spent time with him in Austin, Massachusetts. No. I spent time with him there doing a photo story, which is on jaredpolin.com, which is a Squarespace website, squarespace.com/FronosPhoto. Get 10% off your first order with the code FronosPhoto at checkout.
And my website doesn't exist.
Steven's website doesn't exist. Buy his camera. That's a good one. So Ryan wrote this in 2014, or it came out in 2014, and I never read it. And I'll read you the synopsis right now. But I actually did consume it all this weekend on Audible, and I did it at slower speeds than I normally would do, so 1.7 instead of like 2.2, just because I wanted to absorb some of the information better this time and give my brain a quick second to think about it. But it was awesome. I found myself while...
Do you think you can ever play back something at normal speed these days?
No. I mean, I do. I watched the Bernie documentary at normal speed. I ended up sleeping through half of it. No, I'm just kidding.
That was the one stipulation I had with you. I'm like, please, just for the love of God, watch it at normal speed. There's a lot of pacing that went into this and editing to make it look really good at normal speed. Meanwhile, Jared's at 4x speed.
Throughout the book, I was shaking my head yes in agreement. Like, that's how I operate, or that's what I've been doing for years. And so I liked that there were things in there that affirmed my beliefs of how I acted, and that he was reaffirming and reassuring a lot of the things based off of what he was talking about. So here's a synopsis of the book from Amazon. The book draws its inspiration from Stoicism, the ancient Greek philosophy of enduring pain or adversity with perseverance and resilience. Stoics focus on the things they can control, let go of everything else, and turn every new obstacle into an opportunity to get better, stronger, tougher. As Marcus Aurelius put it nearly 2,000 years ago, the quote is, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And then it says, Ryan Holiday shows us how some of the most successful people in history, from John D. Rockefeller to Amelia Earhart to Ulysses S. Grant to Steve Jobs, have applied stoicism to overcome difficult or even impossible situations. Fuck, I missed an opportunity to throw my name in there. Their embrace of these principles ultimately mattered more than their natural intelligence, talents, or luck. If you're feeling frustrated, demoralized, or stuck in a rut, this book can help you turn your problem into your biggest advantages. And along the way, it will inspire you with dozens of true stories of greats from every age and era. Now, Ryan actually has a summary of his book. It's an 18-minute summary on YouTube. I put together a book club link, bit.ly/Fro Book Club #1. That will take you to the summary that he did. Now, that's not the whole book, of course, because the book will take you hours to listen to, but it gets you some of the gist of it, and there's some really good stuff in there right off the bat. I've been recommending this to everybody since I read it. I'm a big evangelist for this. I'm trying to get my dad to read the damn fucking book, and
it's like pulling teeth.
It's so difficult. I'm like, Dad, will you please just listen to this? You go take these walks every day. Go walk and listen.
No, I'll do what I want.
Right. And so a lot of it talks about, it's called The Obstacle is the Way. And it talks about how the obstacles that you face and how you react to them really determine whether you're going to be successful or not successful. Example, it starts off with the book talking about a king blocked the road with a rock, a big boulder that people couldn't get around. It blocked the entranceway to something. And so some people would walk up and then be like, oh, can't go this way, and they just give up and go another way. Or some people would complain to the king that this is bad, someone should do something about this. Then there was the one person who looked at it, tried to move the rock, couldn't get it out of the way, but then went to the forest, grabbed a stick, fashioned it in such a way that they can get it underneath and get some leverage and move the boulder. And when they moved the boulder, underneath was a bag of gold with a note that said something about obstacles, and you've succeeded by moving it and figured out a way. I know it sounds basic, but a lot of the stuff in this book, I just shook my head and was like, absolutely. The biggest takeaway is you can only control what you can control, and the things that are out of your control should not ruin everything. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Think about the alternatives. Like another example they gave throughout the book, or he talked about in the book, was a company was ready to have a launch in a couple of weeks of a new product, and the founder or the COO or the CEO of the company said, hey, our product failed at launch. But Moore was doing an exercise when people were like, well, it didn't launch yet. They're like, it hasn't launched yet, but maybe we haven't thought of certain possibilities that might go wrong. Let's have a discussion and think about the alternatives. You hear people always say, never have a plan B, because if you do, you'll fall back on it. Strong people are not going to fall back on it. It's smart to have alternatives so that you can react quickly if something happens. If this, if something doesn't go right, what are you going to do to get around it? I mean, this is a big thing. Like I talk about my dad, I want him to listen to this because in the book, it talks about you're never too old to start over. Not saying that he's starting over, but you're never too old to start. And I know it sounds simple, but he gives an explanation that, I know I'm not giving away the book because there's a lot to listen. I'm just paraphrasing. But there's a thing with Edison where Edison was in his 60s and his studio catches on fire, his workshop catches on fire, and it's put in, because there's different gases and chemicals there, it's putting on this light show, and he tells his son to go get your mother, she'll never see another light show like this. And that's how he reacted. He knew that his place was on fire, but he also knew there was nothing he could do about it. He could bitch and moan and cry and whine and throw a hissy fit like I've done in the past, as you've seen, and I haven't done in years.
You've come a long way.
And I haven't done in years because it serves zero purpose. The key is that if you're faced with adversity, how are you going to surpass it? What are you going to do to have a solution? This piece of shit thing has happened. Are we going to cry about it? Are we going to wallow in it? Or do we get to work? Like, I got pissed off that there was so much clutter in the factory. All those boxes were left on the floor after I gave away 20 cameras. That's my doing because I gave them away, but I didn't feel like breaking them down or doing anything about it. We had a lot of bubble wrap. We had a lot of stuff in the thing. I got tired, and one day I took a bunch of trash bags and I just started. I just got the shit done. Just started was another thing from the book where he talks about Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart wanted to be an aviator. And this was the 1920s, and women didn't have a lot of rights. You know, suffrage wasn't a big movement yet, or it was a movement, but it didn't really matter. And so instead, trying to go after her dream, she became a social worker. And one day she gets a call that someone says, we have a backer who wants to back the first female transatlantic flight, and our woman has dropped out. Now, Ryan says that it wasn't a great proposition because the guy goes on to say, now you're not going to get to fly. There will be 2 men chaperones who will be doing the flying and who will make more money than you. Do you want to do it? And she said yes. And the reason she said yes is because she just needed to start. She needed to get her foot in the door to start the process instead of turning shit down, which is something that I did when I was a young photographer, because I thought I shot for Rolling Stone and I shot for the Flyers. I'm too good. You only offer me $100? And I missed out on a lot of opportunities because I didn't take the money that they were offering or take the job because it didn't pay.
Now, granted, I don't think you should be a yes man and say yes to every single opportunity that comes.
That's correct. You should be smart, and you should pick and choose. But that was something that she wanted to do, which was, this was an opportunity to be a flyer and get in the plane and do it, and then work her way somewhere. So you just need to be smart. I really don't like the mentality that I think, I don't want to give names, but a lot of people have said in the past that working for free as a photographer is bad. Now, I think Chase Jarvis has said it. Do you recall Chase Jarvis saying this?
I'm not sure.
I believe he put out videos in the past talking about not taking work for free because it devalues you, and then over time you can never get more money. Or maybe it was don't discount because you can't bring your prices back up. Now, of course, there's caveats to everything. There's no hard and true method, hard and fixed method that's like, you can't do this or you shouldn't do this, because I do think that sometimes working for free for the right thing will and can pay dividends and get your foot in the door. You need to get your foot in the door sometimes.
Exactly.
You do. But you don't want to get taken advantage of. You have to know the difference between, is there value for you in this situation, or is someone just flat out taking advantage of you? But if you don't try and all you do is sit on your ass at home, you're never going to succeed. Which brings up what my dad said to me when I was having trouble in my 20s. I was sitting at home a lot. I was sitting in front of my computer going, my website is amazing. And I don't mean to just railroad you, Stephen, and not have you say anything. But,
You're fine.
But I'm on a roll here. But I would sit in front of the computer being like, my website is great. Whatever. You know, I had all these photos. It was, these photos are good. Why are people not contacting me? Why are they not just miraculously finding my website on the internet and booking me? And so I would sit around all day waiting for shit to happen. My dad dropped me the letter. He wrote it. He's like, I don't know how to talk to you. So he wrote me a letter, which is, I'm thinking of returning the favor right now and writing the same fucking letter back to him and saying, look, you said
in your face.
I said, you said this to me years ago. I'm saying it to you because you need to hear it right now. And so it said, there's 3 types of people in this world: people that make things happen, people that let things happen, and people who wonder what the fuck happened. Which one are you? Right? And so,
is that all he wrote?
Yeah, that was basically it.
What age were you at this point?
I was in my 20s. 25,
right
26. It was before Frono's photo.
Yeah.
It may have been around the time. I don't know if it was after my mom died or before my mom died. I don't recall. But
how'd that make you feel?
Oh, I mean, I usually get angry before I get to the realization that they're right.
Yeah.
Right? You see, like, I've worked on, like, I get pissed off, I get angry. Like, this happened. This happened with a sponsor recently where I didn't deliver the 2 plugs that they needed to get delivered in the month. And it just slipped. It didn't happen because one video got held up and then another one got delayed a day, so it didn't actually come out, and they would have come out. And so my ad guy's like, you didn't do this, and I'm trying to come up with excuses, and I'm getting angry, and it's like, but it's my fault. And so when we hung up, I wrote him a letter. Sorry, I wrote him an email and said, send this to the customer. And it went along the lines of, hi, I want to let you know that I didn't get to your 2 plugs this month, and that's my fault. Here's what happened. Brief. Like, one video didn't get what was supposed to come out, but it ended up getting held up for a certain reason. It didn't come out. The video that was supposed to come out on the last day of the month didn't come out because it had a certain issue exporting or whatever. It didn't come out. But here, I don't want to make excuses. Here's the solution. Those 2 videos will be coming out. One will be out tomorrow, which is the first of the month. That I hope you count towards June. And I've got another one in the can that's all ready to go. That's going to come out a few days later. And that will be, hopefully you accept those for my June allotment. And also, I've got 4 others that I'm doing this month with your plug in it, not just 2. So I hope you understand. I've enjoyed working with you for the past decade, and I hope we can continue working further in the future. You have to acknowledge the issue. You can't pander. You acknowledge, and you offer a solution. You don't bitch. You don't make excuses that are beyond the basics. Stick to the facts and move the fuck on, right?
Own it. Own it.
And
yeah, at that point.
You definitely own it. And they're like, we'll make an exception this time. Thank you. And I've held true on every one of those things that I mentioned. I've already done all their plugs. They're done. They've gotten extra, and I will be more vigilant moving forward. So it's my fault.
You tend to give extra anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
If they ask for 1 video, you might give them 2. If they ask for a 10-minute video, you might give them a 20-minute video.
It's all about over-delivering. It's under-promising and over-delivering. That's why I don't like when companies are like, you got to do X. I'm like, nah, I don't got to do shit. I'll do what I want to do, and you're going to like it because you're going to get more. And we won't work with clients if they demand too much, because we understand that if they demand too much, we don't want to work with them.
I mean, we rarely do sponsored content anyway to begin with, because it is a pain in the ass to follow someone's exact list of things that they want done, and it's not worth it half the time.
No, but with that being said, with the ones that we've worked with, even the ones that are like, we need to see a preview, they want to see a preview. We usually don't. They can't change anything from the preview unless we said things that were factually wrong about their product. They can't tell me what to say that, like, I didn't like this or that. But every single time we send someone, so they're like, will you send us a rough edit? We don't do rough edits. We do final edits. There's no sense in doing a rough edit because it's not the final edit. We want to deliver you the final edit. And when we do,
the rough edit is like, well, can you guys change this or change that? And I'm like, well, I was gonna do that. I'm just not there yet. It's still a rough cut.
So we don't do that. We show the final thing, and they rarely have issues to talk about. So the moral of this particular story is like, own your shit. You fuck shit up. How do you deal with it? Okay, this is over. We could sit here and complain about it, and we could bitch and moan and talk, but the only way stuff is going to get done is if you actually go do it. So you just have to start. It's the same video I made years ago out in wherever the hell we were in the wilderness on that Nikon trip, and we made that just start video. It was the D850 trip where we had the mountains in the background and stuff. That was a good video. Anyway, I highly recommend you check out The Obstacle is the Way. The audiobook on Audible, you can listen to it faster and you can consume this entire thing. And what's cool is there's actually an hour-plus long podcast in it that he did with Tim Ferriss, that Ryan did with Tim Ferriss, that there's a lot more value in that as well as the book. I really recommend you changing it to if you're having trouble reframing your mind. I'm not a big self-help person. I don't think this is self-help. I just think that this is good because I shook my head a lot. I made a bunch of notes that I saved throughout the book where I'm like, yes. Yeah. One was, found something. I was shaking my head. I guess I didn't save it. No. It was something about, oh, here it is. It's right here, Jared, you fucking blind bastard. Check notes. World might call you a pessimist, which I didn't spell right because it has a line under it. But who cares? I know what it says.
Wait, how is it spelled? How is it spelled?
Pessimist. Pessimist. How do you spell pessimist? It doesn't even... Stephen, how do you spell pessimist? Because it doesn't even have a correction for my word the way I wrote it.
Pessimist.
It's S's?
Yes.
I would have never done well at the spelling bee. We should do a video of a spelling bee.
I actually was pretty good at the spelling bee, I'll tell you that.
You were, but you're not an Indian kid, which is interesting. Because always the Indian American kids are the ones who are the best at spelling bees. That movie, by the way, what was that movie called? Bad Words?
I don't know.
You don't know that movie?
Mm-mm.
Let me look it up. Bad Words movie. Bad Words movie. Jason Bateman. I'm going to read you the IMDb. Actually, I'm going to read you the Wikipedia for it. Guy Tribley, Jason Bateman, a 40-year-old misanthrope, whatever that means, probably a loser, makes waves at a regional spelling bee when, due to a loophole in the rules, he is allowed to enter and later wins. Hurling insults at every turn, Guy advances to the National Center national contest in Los Angeles, accompanying by reporter Kathleen Hahn, who wants to discover his hidden motives for entering the bee. As the competition gears up, friendless Guy inexplicably forms a bond with a young speller who is feeling parental pressure to win. And it's a fantastic movie. If you've never heard of it,
I've never heard of it, seen it, nothing.
It is,
and I love Jason Bateman. It's
a funny movie. I highly recommend you.
Here's the IMDb summary to make it really quick and to the point. A spelling bee loser sets out to exact revenge by finding a loophole and attempting to win as an adult.
It's funny. It's because the Indian kid is in it. It's funny. It's really funny. It's really funny.
Adding it to my video queue.
So yeah, I can't spell pessimist or anything, but yes, I do highly.
By the way, this is how Jared emails me things too. Everything is highlighted red. I'm like, what the hell is he trying to say here?
Yes, that's how we do it. Moral of the story: I can't recommend this book enough. Either get it to read. I don't read very well, so that's why I listen to audiobooks.
Yeah, I've got to check it out.
Watch the summary. It's an 18-minute summary. If that tickles your fancy, because it's really good listening to Ryan's a really good speaker, and so listening to how he articulates.
So he's the audiobook actor.
He's
or
actually the audiobook reader. Yes, he's the narrator.
What do they call him? Readers? Is that what they call him?
I don't know. He's the audiobook reader.
Guy who
author. He's the
reads
reader.
The book?
He's the narrated by.
Okay.
This
he's
book
a narrator.
is narrated by Ryan Holiday.
It's like the Bernie commentary.
Yeah, me.
This book is narrated by Jared Polin.
What did I say? This book is narrated by me?
I don't know. Did you?
I don't know. You recorded it while I was under a blanket.
9 hours of recording. Yeah.
Thankfully, it wasn't hot because I could be under the fucking blanket. Thankfully, it wasn't the summer because it would have been really hot under that blanket.
Brutal.
All right, let's get to Rappy McRapperson, Steven. Anything you want to add to this for the show?
No, just getting major projects done finally in the can and looking forward to what's next.
There's big things coming. That's what she said.
On that note,
313-710-9729, 313-710-9729. I really enjoy making these. I think these are fun conversations that Steven and I have.
We talked on the phone today for what,
two and a half hours? Well, we had a lot to catch up on.
We did, yeah.
We had a lot to catch up on business-wise, so we did 2.5 hours on the phone. But yeah, it ended up being about 2.5 hours on the phone today talking about business. So, the biggest takeaway to come back to the Bernie thing real fast is that I want to have a person video every photo shoot that I do. I want a person with me at all times.
And then take 2.5 years to put it all together.
Not that long, but I want a person with me at all times for every shoot because it makes me look really good.
You want to be Gary V.
Clouds and dirt. Cloud and dirt. Clouds and dirt. Bro.
Empathy, Jared.
Clouds and dirt. Empathy wines. Did you know he's selling V-Friend vitamins now?
Yes.
Actual gummy vitamins?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Jared Polin, and you are...
Stephen Eckert.
That's Stephen Eckert. This has been RAWtalk episode number 8. Thank you very much for listening. Jared Polin, frontosfowtow.com. See ya.
Bye.
No, see ya.
Bye.
Stop it, Steven. Goodbye.